Hello beautiful people. This video is about how to develop leadership skills in the workplace. When I was running big IT transformation projects, we had this video, and I'm sure some of you have seen it. We had this video of an airplane being built while someone was flying it. So I always think of people at work trying to build new skills while they're at work. There is a certain element of building the plane while you're actually flying it. So cut yourself some slack and think about how it is that you are going to do this incrementally over a long period of time. Now, there's ways to accelerate it, and we're absolutely going to talk about that. One of the ways to be effective in thinking about building leadership skills while you're working is to begin to think of leadership skills not just in terms of a leadership role, but in terms of the value that you're creating for your organization. Leadership skills are also something that you build over time. They're not something that you can do a 2-day course and come back and go, ta-da, I'm a leader, because leadership skills are very much a personal expression of your capability and your perspective, your interpretation, your values, and what you want to make happen in the world. If you think that leadership starts when you get promoted and you have a leadership title, then you're missing a big opportunity, because leadership starts the moment that you start taking on responsibility at work, or having other people engage with you at work, or defining what it is that you want to do with your work life. You're leading yourself in that particular case. If you want to lead more powerfully, ask yourself, what are you doing to contribute to those around you? That is a really great way of finding opportunities for you to be able to practice leadership for yourself. By the end of this video, I want you to have an understanding of how you can create opportunities for yourself to practice leadership without having to have a leadership title. I want you to be able to name some of the leadership skills that matter most in today's workplace and understand for yourself which of those you have and which of those you need to develop further. I want you to recognize the relationship between career growth and leadership skills, and there is a very strong connection between them. And I want you to adopt a mindset that moves you away from waiting to be tapped on the shoulder and be told that you're a leader, to knowing that you're a leader already, and what you're doing is you're a leader building the skills that you need to be able to be a great leader. Leadership skills are absolutely essential across all career levels. And what you'll see as you start paying attention to the people who are around you as to whether or not they take leadership positions, one of the great questions to start asking yourself as you start paying attention to who's leading and who's not is the people who actually take responsibility for the entirety of something. The people who take responsibility for whether or not something is successful. So the entirety of something can be something very small or something absolutely huge. So for you, it could be the successful delivery of a project that is a 2-month-long project to an internal customer. That's a pretty small deliverable. Your CEO is responsible for the delivery of shareholder value to the shareholders, the delivery of satisfaction to the customers, the delivery of market growth to all of you where you've opportunities to grow. And so if you look at the difference between what she's trying to deal with versus what you're trying to deal with, what you'll see is that there are a lot of parallels, but there's also a huge difference. You can take responsibility for something really small tomorrow and begin to start building your leadership skills and your leadership credibility. And you will learn on the job, to some extent by trial and error. What I have discovered over time is that once you put yourself forward and actually take responsibility for getting something done from A to Z, your boss will recognize that and will step in and support you and give you additional opportunities to grow and additional opportunities to learn and additional opportunities and receive help from your boss or from the people around you. I had a great example last week. I was working with someone who was doing a lot of work for me, and I had recommended someone onto his team, and I came back and I checked and I said, hey, how's Paul doing on your team? I said, I know I recommended him and I want to just see what you thought about how he's doing. And this guy, who is one of the best performers in the area, He actually said, hey, you know what, I'm used to people actually taking ownership for stuff from beginning to end and me not having to check in on them. He said, I don't have a problem checking in on them because I kind of do that anyway, but I'm used to them taking full responsibility for something, and if it's not working the way they want it to work, they let me know. And he said he kind of didn't do that. So I had to then circle back and go, hey, you know, if you want to take a leadership role in here and you want to work with someone who's really the best in their field, you've got to be able to take ownership for stuff. So that's step number one on your leadership path. Once you get onto the path of leadership, you start looking for opportunities to be able to grow your leadership. You've done your first one now, you've put your hand up, you've taken on a project that's a month or 2 months duration, it's a fairly small project, you've owned the success of that project. If something went wrong with it, or you anticipated something was going to go wrong with it, you brought that to your boss's attention, you figured out how to be able to head off a disaster at the pass. The other thing that you're looking to do then is you're looking to drive organizational performance with your leadership. Your next opportunity might be able to do something very similar, but something that is actually looking to improve customer satisfaction, reduce cycle time, deliver a new product to market, deliver satisfaction for an internal customer, do something that's a particular special project for the executive team or for the CEO. One of the things that I did when I was heading up IT teams is I would find the people who had an innate understanding of leadership as being ownership of something from A to Z and ownership of its success. And I would put them forward facing to the executive team, because I knew if something was going to go wrong or they did something wrong, I would hear it from them first before I heard it from anyone else, and I would have time to triage it and fix the problem. And I also knew that it would give them perspective and understanding of what the executives were doing in a way that would allow them to be able to start thinking about their own leadership much more effectively. If you want to further develop your leadership skills, just put your hand up for anything that has to do with change. Change is where leadership is really put to the test. So if there's any kind of change going on in your department or in an adjacent department, a new system being rolled out, a new market being pursued, new growth happening, new investment happening, new innovation being taken to market, if there's some kind of change going on, not necessarily just a reorg, although reorgs are usually part of a bigger change, but if there's something like that going on in your department and you're interested in stepping into more of a leadership role after you have some of the earlier stage leadership under your belt, put your hand up. Throw yourself into the middle of change. Make sure that you're working for someone who you respect and appreciate and who is calm and is not going to panic in the middle of the change. But if you put your hand up and you're looking for diving in the deep end of leadership, anywhere where there's change happening in your organization will allow you to be able to do that. The skills that you develop as a leader while you're involved in change, even if you're only leading a small part of it, are absolutely critical to the kind of leadership skills you want to have going forward as you take on more and more responsibility. Because what you're doing is you're leading under pressure, you're remaining calm, you're being respectful, you're taking care of people, you're learning how to translate directives, KPIs, OKRs, goals that are assigned to you into valuable results at other parts of the organization. Once you start getting comfortable with being able to do that and being able to influence across the org in a way that allows you to be able to align people to produce the results you're looking for, then you're going to have some really good leadership skills under your belt. As you go through this process and you go from, I'm going to do something small for myself, I'm going to do something small for the team, I'm going to do something bigger for the team, I'm going to be involved in a change initiative, I'm going to start positioning myself to be in a leadership position, what you will begin to notice is that it gets progressively more important for you to learn how to be able to influence people. People tend to think that as they get more and more senior in an organization, they get to call the shots more and more. The reality is, they really don't. They get to make the decisions more, but they don't necessarily get to call the shots in terms of telling people what to do. And as organizations have evolved and matured over the last decade, people have actually become progressively more autonomous. We're better educated, we know more what it is that we want from work, we know more the value that we bring. We are becoming more and more autonomous as individuals bringing value to society as a whole. Leaders have less authority to be able to be directive and tell us what to do. As you grow your leadership capacity and you develop your leadership skills, also recognize that you want to be able to build the skills of doing soft influence. They're incredibly important skills in the workplace today. I said when we started the video that we were going to look at some of the skills that I consider to be important in the workplace. I would say influence, absolutely critical and important. Your ability to be able to be agile. So it's really difficult to be agile if you need to be right all the time, if you need to have everything be perfect all the time, if you're scared of change, if you're afraid of failure. Those things do not allow you to be agile. Your ability to be agile as a leader is a critical competence and skill and opportunity that I really encourage you to build for yourself. So influence, agility, knowledge of the space. One of the things that we tend to kind of put last on the list from a leadership standpoint is our reading and our studying of what it is that's going on in the world. Who are the thought leaders? Who are the people who are pushing the envelope? Who are the people who are truly innovating? As you start building your leadership competence, also look at what is going on in my field as a whole, and do I understand the implications of that for what it is that I want to be able to do and how I want to be able to lead. You can start with something really small in this. The beauty of thinking about leadership as a practice is you can start with really small practices and you can build up over time. It's kind of like going to the gym. You might start off with lifting 5 pounds and you may end up at 55 pounds. But it took you a while to get there and it took you a lot of practice to get there. Leadership is exactly the same. Put yourself in positions where you have opportunities to be able to practice. Build a ladder for yourself of the progress that you want to be able to make over a 6-month, 12-month, 18-month, 3-5-year time frame, and go selectively looking for opportunities to be able to develop your own leadership as you work. As you start doing this, you're also invariably going to get promoted. It's pretty much guaranteed, because the people who take leadership positions and grow people around them and create opportunities for others get promoted. That's just the way business works, because they provide opportunities for people that wouldn't otherwise exist. And we create innovation and we bring new delight and new pleasure to customers. So as you start going through this process, I really encourage you to look at the Get Promoted assessment. There's a link down in the comments below. It's also www.getpromotedassessment.com. As you do that, let me know how it worked for you. Come back in the comments and tell me how your leadership development is going for yourself. And remember, it's primarily up to you. There is a methodology, there is an approach, there is a way to do it. And I really encourage you to get started as soon as you can. And I wish you the very best of luck.